I don't care where you're watching from. I don't care if you're listening on our podcast or YouTube. Just know that you're about to just experience something amazing. And for those that haven't met me, I'm Dr. Latifat. And yes, I think I'm amazing, but the amazingness I'm talking about today is like way, way more than my baseline amazingness because I have the honor, pleasure of having my friend, one of my clients, and just an overall badass woman physician here, Dr. Mireya. So, welcome, Dr. Mireya.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here with you.
So, this interview is something that I've wanted to happen for a while, but it's been hard coordinating our schedule. But this is going to be so worth the wait. But I'm not even going to like beat around the bush. Let's just get started right now and just, okay. The first question that comes to mind is why would an immigrant doctor care about her finances? Like, what made you decide that money was something important to delve into?
I felt like it was a necessity. So, I grew up in the San Joaquin Valley. My parents are immigrant, retired farm workers. Growing up, we worked in the fields with my parents on weekends and family vacations or school vacations. So over the winter break, in the summer, we would all go out, help my parents in whatever season it was. And so we didn't grow up with a lot of money. But what we did grow up with was my parents would always tell us, study so that you don't have to suffer out here in the heat, or study so that you don't have to suffer out here in the cold when we would be tying vines and it was hundreds of, just thousands of dollars. And I couldn't even explain it to my parents because they didn't understand that I owed, these hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I wasn't even a doctor yet. So, and I couldn't ever ask my parents for help paying for my medical school tuition. I couldn't, as it was, they would send me, whatever they could so that I could fly home twice a year to see the family. So really learning about money was nothing that I grew up with. But as I was going through medical school, I realized like I need to learn about money because I was a non-traditional student. I was older. I didn't have that retirement. So I was starting out later. And then I got sick in medical school. So I had even more loans. And so here I am, an older student, an older resident with a lot of loans. And what am I going to do? And I didn't even have a family then, right? And so at some point I realized I need to learn about money, but there was always this fear. I don't know money. Nobody ever taught me money. I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to ignore it. And at some point, after graduating residency, even towards the end of residency, I had this desire to learn more, but I had no idea how to go about doing it. Because everybody's so busy and you just don't have time at least I didn't. I didn't know who to ask. Like, how do I think about the future? How do I plan for my future? So long story short, got married, had children, had first job. I knew that I wanted a financial future that was different from what I grew up with. I wanted my children to not have to worry about money the way that I had to worry about money all the time. I wanted my husband and myself to have retirement plans so that my children didn't feel like they had to take care of us and have to worry about how they're going to take care of the parents later on in life. So I started kind of looking, I'm part of PMG, so I'd see some posts. I started seeing some of your posts and I was like, okay, I looked at different ones, and it took me a while to finally make the decision and kind of jump in and reach out to you and do one of your programs. But at that point, I had 2 children. I had lots of student loans. I had a mortgage, and there was a lot going on. And I just knew that I needed to do something so that I could feel like I had control, or I could learn more about money so that I wouldn't feel clueless and like I wasn't in control of that part of my life.
So let me ask you, and I'm an immigrant. I moved
Yeah.
here from Nigeria 20 something years ago. And sometimes I just like think about my own journey to how did I decide that I wanted to do money. So I love hearing how like what was that point from, at least you were thinking about it in like high school. I did not until way later. I had no idea. I was just living my broke life for a very long time. But I'm curious to hear when so did you ever try to talk to someone about money, or you just had the internal desire but never outwardly took any actions to learn?
It was more internal because I didn't even know who to reach out to. That's how clueless I was. I had money in the bank and I was saving, and I'm trying to figure out the whole student loan, public service loan forgiveness. Had no idea, did not understand any of that. Um, I honestly was clueless because I couldn't ask my parents, what did you do when you worked to, put into retirement? Farm workers, you don't have that, right? So I couldn't ask about that. And I have older siblings, but I didn't ask. So I'm trying to do this on my own, trying to figure it out, but don't really know where to look or who to look to. So I feel like I was really clueless. And so through PMG, you would read some of the posts and you're like, oh, I should learn more about that. And it was for a long time. I should learn more about that. I should learn more about that. Um, and at some point, it had to be, I can't, I know it was a couple of years ago. So maybe when we moved closer to home, I just realized like I have to stop wanting to learn about that, and I have to find somebody or a group that's going to help me learn about that, because I felt like I was in limbo, not doing anything. Time was passing by, not doing anything, but having this feeling that I need to move. I need to learn. I need to do something so that I feel like I am doing something in terms of retirement for the future and figuring out how to make sure that I help take care of my kids in the future. So I would say in the past 5 years, I just realized like I don't like this feeling,
Hmm.
and I need to find someone or a group to help me.
So when I started money, I had similar thoughts. And then there were some challenges that I had with finding the group, finding the person. What were some of the like were you just like gut feeling? I'm just gonna keep looking until I, you know, see a bird that says, "Hey, Mireya." Like, what were you looking for? Because there's some people that are going to be listening to this, and maybe where you were, and maybe haven't even taken the time to think about what they're looking for.
So there are different groups, right? And they each, within PMG, there are different groups who offer, and different coaches who offer services for women who want to learn more about finances. Me, as a woman of color, as a daughter of immigrants, I needed to feel safe. I don't know if that makes sense. All I can tell you is that I needed to feel safe. I needed a group, I needed a coach where I could ask the stupid questions that I thought were stupid and not be so scared to be so vulnerable. So there were different groups, and I looked into several of them, and they were okay. They were offering the information that I needed, but I remember seeing some of your posts, and this is just me, honestly. This is how I felt. I just felt like you were genuine. I you were not trying to put up a front, not that anybody else's. I just felt like you spoke from the heart, and I remember thinking I could be her friend. No,
Yay, I'm so
seriously, I
glad
could.
because okay, I'm going to jump a little and I'm just going to jump into the future and then jump back. I
Okay.
am so glad I know you because when I saw you at our in person, and we'll talk about that later, our in person event in Atlanta, I was like, I could not stop hugging you. So I'm with you on that, but we'll come back into the present. So you got married. So you had desire to learn. And then at some point, your husband came into the picture. Did he come in with more financial knowledge and exposure, Did you guys talk about money together before? How was that dynamics about when it came to money with you guys?
So, my husband is also the son of immigrant parents. He grew up in the city. He grew up in East LA. Mom was a caregiver, housekeeper, doing a little bit of everything, and that's kind of where he grew up. So he did not grow up with knowledge about money, right? Um, and did not grow up learning about investing in the future. None of that. He had a job, he had a 401k that he was contributing, but not really thinking in terms of investments. So when we got married, we started talking about this, and I was share PMG, we should look into this or whatever. But it wasn't really until I joined your group, and we started having. I did the first group. I don't remember what the 8 week challenge. I think
Hmm.
we met once a week. Yeah.
Yes.
And so then we started talking about it. So every time after our coaching call, I would, the kids were in bed, and we'd talk, and I tell them, so I learned about this, and then we need to be doing this, and we need to be thinking about this. But what really started kind of getting us moving was um, when I joined the money school, because after every Thursday call, I would finish up, and then I'd go out, we'd put on our shoes, and we'd walk and talk. And so then I would say, oh, and today we talked about this, and Latifat told us this, and one of the ladies is doing this, and we need to, I really want to learn about this. And so at first, he doesn't have the benefit of PMG. He's not a physician, so he didn't have the benefit of what I was seeing, what I was reading, what I was hearing. But in our walk and talks, we'd start talking about it, and slowly he started understanding more. Slowly, and it changed. It changed into the okay, whatever, or are you sure, or not, I would tell him, I want to do these investments, and he'd be like, how much money? And do you know these people? Because he didn't understand, right? And so now it's changed to, I get out of my coaching calls. So what did you guys talk about today? And what are you thinking about? And now it's talking about, hey, there's an upcoming, there's a sponsor, there might be this deal, and we need to look at our finances. And then he ended up, because I was doing the coaching, he ended up doing a coaching program himself,
Wow.
which was very different. And so now there's not fear, there's not unknown, there's more of like, okay, so what are we doing? What do we need to learn about? Because sometimes I'd say, hey, they mentioned this in the group. Can you look into it, and then we can talk about it? And so now there's that conversation, and it's not like, do you know who's asking you for all this money, 35, 50, $100,000 to invest? Who are these people? To more like, he's asked me a couple of times, does Latifat know this group? And I'm like, well, babe, she brought them to the group, and so there's more of an interest in learning. There's definitely more interest in talking about money, because that's become part of what we do. We walk, we talk, we can talk about life, work, whatever, where we are, but also a lot about money. And this whole switching to a 4 day work week has been something that we've been talking about seriously and on a regular basis for about a year.
See,
I think.
okay, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I
Yeah.
did want to ask you because there are some people that are listening right now and going, wow, she got her husband to start talking about money. Like, are there some, like, what helped you with that part? Like, what were some things that you did, or maybe some ways that you had a conversation? We know women, we know how to get what we want, but like, share with our audience what were some of the things that helped you in terms of bringing your husband on board with improving your communication around money.
It was a lot about, it was one big part was the education. As I was getting educated, I was sharing that knowledge with him. And he started reading a little bit more. And um, it was just a lot of sharing of, this is what we're learning about. This is another thing. Um, this was, one of the challenges. She asked us to do this, to look at our finances, to um, do goals or whatever. But it was a lot of sharing of the knowledge, right? And it was a lot of sharing with him of what do we want for our family. As a family, you and me, as as the head of our household, what do we envision? What do we want for our children? What kind of life do we want for our children? And as we started talking about that, we had to talk about, well, how are we going to get there? And then so I would share what we learned. And I told one of the ladies when we met in Atlanta, because she was saying the same thing. My husband is not against this. I didn't even tell him that I was coming to this conference, but I want to join the money school. And so I told her, I just shared with her what I ended up doing, which was, and because her husband, I think, is also non-medical, not a physician. And I just said, I just share what we're learning. I asked him to look into things, to read a little bit more. Um, and, and, and I think I remember telling her, it's thinking about the family in the future, and getting them to understand that what we're doing, spending money for our coaching, spending money for conferences, it's benefiting our family long term. Right now, because we have this mindset, this scarcity mindset that we grew up with, I shared with her that our husbands didn't have the opportunity, didn't have the coaching, so their mindset changing from scarcity mindset to this abundance mindset is lagging a little bit. So it's kind of up to us to share with them what we're learning and help them as they make that transition. But for me, it was thinking about, what do we want for a family for the future? How are we going to get there? And so she ended up joining the money school. And I think we had talked to you about doing this couples, uh, session or something, because a lot of us have spouses, have partners who don't have the benefit of coaching. Now my husband does, right? Because he ended up doing a coaching, and he's reading all these different things. He did this coaching program. And so we are on parallel tracks, but coaching for me benefited him also. And now we have these discussions, and he understands now a lot better. So for those who have spouses who don't understand, one, patience with them, because again, they don't have the resources that we have, which is your wealth of knowledge, your contacts. They don't get the weekly coaching the way that we do. So patience with them, and then just being open and sharing. For me, I share that knowledge. I share what I'm learning, what I'm thinking, and then bringing it back to, what do we want for our family. What I'm learning, what we're learning together, is about our family, not short term, but really long term. And we need to look into the future, and figure out what we want, and then how are we going to get there, and then letting him know what I'm learning now, the things that I'm learning now. You know, invest. What do we say? Invest the
In yourself, in your
no, no,
mind.
and then harvest patiently.
Oh yeah, invest patiently and then invest urgently and then
Invest
harvest.
urgently and harvest
Yes,
patiently,
yes, yes.
which is one of the things that he understands now. We're investing right now urgently, because 10 years, 20 years, however long from now, we're going to be harvesting patiently what we've been investing in.
I love it. So when did you join the money school?
A year ago,
Yeah, it was in 2023.
2023.
2023. And before the call, so you have the unique experience of doing like the 8 weeks program
Uh-huh.
before the money school. And I know you kind of mentioned what would you say was the benefit? Because sometimes people struggle with the idea of it being longer than like a short 8 weeks program, like the money school. And I used to offer, the 8 weeks one, but now it's a year, and you actually renewed now for the second year, which I'm super excited about. But I'm just curious from your perspective, what has been the some of the biggest shifts that you've seen from choosing to do the work over a longer period than like a quick nap?
The 8 week program was helpful to me because it really was affirmation of this is what I want. And I learned so much in those 8 weeks, and we got coaching, and I was like, yep, this is what I want. And then the 1 year, I was thinking, that's a long time. And it's a weekly thing, right? Like, can I commit for a year on a weekly basis? Because we're all super busy, right? We have all these women who have hospitalists, who have surgeons, who, have their own practice, who are primary care, who all of this, right? And yet we all make the time. And what I have found is, because one of the things you even talk to us about is time and scheduling time. And we all have 24 hours. And how we choose to spend our time is a decision that we all need to make. So I made the commitment that every Thursday afternoon, 6 o'clock to about 8 o'clock, that's my coaching time. And my children know that that's mommy's in class to learn about investing. And my husband knows that. And somehow I always make it, right? And sometimes I think at the beginning I'm driving and listening, didn't really participate. But now it's about, okay, I need to be home and I'm going to eat my food. Sometimes I'm eating while listening and then, and then I join. But it's part of my life now. This is what I do. The same way that I go to work every week, this is something that I look forward to every Thursday. And I've told the group, I'm like, you guys are my friends. Before I met a lot of them, in Atlanta, I was like, I feel like you guys are my friends and I get to see you every week because we learn so much about each other. And then meeting in Atlanta was so important. And we can talk about it whenever you want. But when I met a lot of these ladies in Atlanta, it was just like, yes, again, this is why I'm part of this group. Because if I liked you over Zoom, when I met you, it was another level, right? It was another level. And then meeting all the new ladies who I hadn't met before. And then when they joined the money school, it was like, yep, this is my group. So I don't remember what the question was you asked me, but I hope I answered it.
I think you did. I think you did. So if someone is listening right now and they're like, yeah, Mireya, I get it. I want the help. I want that community, but I am struggling. Maybe they're thinking, maybe they have a thought that they've never invested in themselves before, or maybe their spouse does not understand what that investing in yourself means. And you've committed because it's not just money, you've committed also time. The Thursday
Yeah.
afternoon, you came to the in person, which was I was just humbled, honestly, in the best way possible. I literally got on my knees after. I don't think I've shared this, and I was just like, after I got on my knees, it's like, thank you, God, because I cannot believe the amazingness of the women that I get to be part of their life's experience. But if someone is listening and they're like, is it easy for you to invest in yourself? Like, how can I become Mireya that feels like she gets the value of investing in herself? How would you help them out?
For a lot, and I know I spoke to some of the ladies in Atlanta, there's this guilt about spending this money on ourselves as moms, right? Already, you know, their bills, their student loans, they have children that they have to pay for sports, private school, all of these things, right? And so I think some of the ladies, because I spoke to a couple of them, and I spoke to them because I also had this guilt. How am I trying to figure out how to invest in the future, and here I am spending this money on coaching for me? But what I shared with them is at some point, I decided, and it literally, as you have to think about it, is I'm not spending it on me, just me. What I'm learning the knowledge that I'm gaining, the what I've learned that has helped me invest in different syndications is honestly for our family. It benefits our family again in the long term. So when you invest and you say, I'm going to do this, and you think, I have to pay all this money, when you think about it, what we are gaining, the knowledge, the network, the connections, the friends, this is lifetime benefit for not only for me. This is how I see it. It's a lifetime benefit for me, but it's a lifetime benefit for my family because again, I joined 2023. I've made all these investments, right? We've passive investments, several of them. I'm looking into another one right now. We changed the way that we're investing in our 529s. We have all these other investments that we've made. We've looked at our money. It's like a lot of things came out of that one investment last year that years down the road, that one investment in 2023 is going to be paying out. So for those women who feel like, how am I spending all this money on myself? Don't think about it that way. Think about, yes, you're gaining the knowledge, but you're a vessel that's going to be sharing this information with your spouse. That's going to be sharing this information with your children because we talk about investments. We talk about rental properties with our children now, as we start planning because we now have the 10 arms of wealth, right? When we did the 10 arms of wealth, we're thinking about the future. We do these vision boards with the kids now, as kind of part of that 10 arms of wealth that led to that. And we think about, okay, so we're going to be traveling now. And how are we going to do it as a family? How are we going to plan? It's a different way that my family is benefiting from my investment last year. So again, when you think about it, it's don't think that you're being selfish because you're spending this money on yourself. You're not spending this money on yourself. You're spending this money so that you gain the knowledge that's going to benefit all of your family. And it can go out too, right? Because I talked to my friends about it. My friends who are physicians, who are not part of the money school. I keep sending and sharing, and at some point they will make a decision, whether with our group or with another group, but just sharing that knowledge as a result of an investment I made in myself last year. I feel like, again, it's not just benefiting me, it's benefiting others, but especially for me, it's benefiting my children and my family. The way that our family has changed is huge. It's conversations that we had. It's different thinking that my husband and I have. We've changed the way that we think about things, and again, we're making decisions that are long term. So that's the way that I think about it, not as something selfish, but as again, I think you've talked to us as a vessel through which this information is going to be shared with others. And again, it's going to benefit us, right? Because again, I remember what you always say, it's not about the money. It's oh my gosh, I'd written it somewhere, but through us, right? Through me making more money or our family making more money, I'm able to help my nephews and nieces, who are going through school, who are, one of my nieces wants to be a vet. And so I told her, okay, we're going to figure out what course, like the MCAT, there are all these courses for vet school. I don't know what course you're going to need, but I'm going to pay for it because I'm making moves now that is going to allow me to have more of that income. So, sorry, I know
I'm
I kind
curious.
of go.
No, this is perfect. I am curious. Have your parents noticed a difference? For good or
In
for bad?
terms of investments,
In
or
terms of your change, your life change, are they surprised?
I think they're really going to be surprised. So, and when it comes to the investment part, I don't. It's not something that I say, "Oh, hey, mom, I went and I
Of course,
invested in
of
this
course, of course.
syndication and spent, more money than you guys ever made in a whole year." Like, farm workers, I don't know that they would be able to really understand. Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
mean you're spending all this money investing in this, whatever? I don't know that they would understand. But I think the benefit that where they're going to start to understand is I haven't told them yet that I'm switching to a 4-day work week. And one of the reasons, they're out of town right now, but one of the reasons that I want to do that too is because I want to spend time with my parents. They live about 35, 40 minutes away. And so what I've written down is that 1 day a month I want to go and spend with my parents. If I'm going to go out and, help my dad with the chickens, or I'm going to go out to his garden and look at his grapes or take pictures of the fruits and vegetables in his garden or whatever, I want the ability to do that. And so I think that when I let them know, hey, I made these changes and
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to take this time off because I'm investing in things outside of medicine that is allowing me to do this, I think they'll better understand.
So you mentioned the 4-day week. Tell us a little bit more. Are you working 4 days a week now? Like, is that something what, actually, what I realized is we never told people what you do. So tell us what you do. We just went deep, like straight into it.
So
Tell
I
us what you do and what life looked like for you before. How about that?
so I'm outpatient primary care. I'm internal medicine and pediatrics. Currently, I'm transitioning, but currently I am part-time internal medicine and pediatrics both. So about zero point 0.6 FTE a week, and then administrative leadership position. And so I've had this position for about the past 3 years, I think, 2 to 3 years. Um, and, through COVID, through all of that, I practice in my hometown in the San Joaquin Valley. Um, and it's been such an honor and a blessing to be able to give back to my community, which is primary farm worker community. Those are my patients. I see the children of the farm workers and I take care of the adults also. But recently I made the decision that I wanted to put my family first. I wanted to put me above work. And so I am transitioning out of my leadership position to zero point 0.8 FTE in clinical medicine with 1 day off a week, because this past year I pretty much missed like the majority of my children's award ceremonies at school, um, a lot of the activities at school, majority of my son's track meets and games. I didn't make it to the majority of their after school sports or anything because I was always working or commuting home. So by the time I got home, they were done. I missed it. And I just realized that it's time. I want to be a present mom. I want to I want to go to their meets. I want to go to the basketball games. I want to drop off and pick up my kids whenever possible because currently once a week I was able to, if I didn't have an early meeting, able to drop them off, but not do any of the pickups. So I'm transitioning out in the next 2 weeks. I'll be switching to the 4 days a week outpatient primary care in my hometown and having 1 day off. And we've already, it's Friday because that's when all his sports are. But my husband said that we're already going to copy you and your hubby on the lunch dates where we're going to talk about
Woohoo!
finances and goals. So we're going to be doing that. I want to be doing more journaling. I have some projects that I want to work on, and I want to work on me. I want to take better care of me. So I have a lot of plans, and I'm excited
Oh,
about this move.
I got goosebumps hearing you talk, and I think I know why. I think it's because I have a feeling, and it's more than a feeling, that this season that you're transitioning to is going to birth a different life for you. And I don't know what it is, but there's something. There's something. This is not, I'm leaving leadership. I'm this is there's something that's birthing in your life, and I'm excited about it. I have no idea what it is, but I'm here for it. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good because a year from now, 6 months from now, you literally are going to go, Latifa, you were right. And not because I'm not saying that to like say Latifa is always right. No. Everybody in my community knows that they are the sovereign, they're the boss of their own life. I'm not the boss of them in any shape or form. But I got goosebumps while you were talking, and I think it's because you have no idea what is about to birth. But sometimes when we don't close a chapter, when we don't leave room for a birthing of something else, we will never be able to get into that next thing. And it's not about being busy, but just that there's an there's something coming. I don't know if you get that sense as well.
I think you are right. You're right, but I also have to tell you that there's fear, right? Because it's a big change, and I shared this with the group where I think I was gapping for a while, even though my heart and my soul tell me this is the right move. The scarcity mindset, that part of my brain is like, you're not going to be in leadership anymore. You're going to leave all of these things. And I've had these discussions with my husband, and he's helped me. And I've journaled. And I think you're right. There's this fear, and I'm allowing myself to say, it's okay, because what's coming is so much better. I don't know what's coming, but looking back at my journal from 2022, which is when I started writing, work 4 days a week. No, work 4 days a week, twice a month. Because back then, even though I wanted to decrease the amount of time, I don't know that I truly believed it. I don't know if it, like, I would write it down, but now I believe it. Now I I understand it now. My husband keeps telling me, you're starting to really live your authentic life. You are becoming who you were meant to be with less of this fear. And I think you're right. Again, sometimes the fear gets to me and I'm like, and then I write down. I just have to journal and get those feelings out. And then I go back and I'm like, wow, look at me. Early 2023, I was already thinking these things, but I didn't truly believe it. And now what I'm looking forward to is when we do the 10 Arms of Wealth in December before the start of the new year, I'm going to be able to say, I made that transition, right? And after I made that transition, I started working on my children's book, and I'm putting it out there. I started doing more philanthropy in terms of what I was doing. I started taking better care of myself. So something beautiful is coming. I feel it. I feel it. There's a little bit of fear because, of the unknown, but at the same time, I'm ready. And I think that it's not a selfish thing. It's just that something beautiful is coming, and I'm opening myself to it.
And I have to say, the fear is normal.
Yeah.
Everybody that you're seeing doing great, amazing, courageous things like you, there is fear. But what the fear is not to stop us. The fear is to help you. It's like the next pound weight you have to lift to become that next version of yourself. So the version of you that sees the fear but does it anyway is different from the version of yourself that was standing at the door of the fear.
Yeah.
So fear is always there. Even for me, like doing a podcast, doing an in-person event, doing the money school, traveling with
Yes.
my family, deciding to do per diem, fear coexists. But what happens is the more you take the steps, the more you start looking at the patterns. I mean, if you think about the fear the first time you invested in a syndication,
It was like paralyzing. And then afterward, I just kept asking myself, what did I do? What did I just do? But now, you know what the fear is? That I'm not investing enough.
imagine that, right?
Well, back then it was like there was this fear of investing, and now my fear is I'm not investing enough. I'm not, doing more of this, which is very different. One of the things that in my life I decided a couple years ago, years back, is that I want a life with no regrets. And for many years, fear of failure kept me from living the life that I wanted. And I decided that I didn't want to have a life, I didn't want to live a life with regrets. So having to push past that fear, at least I tried. And it's been something that
Becoming a habit.
yeah, yeah. And it's been something that I just decided I want a life with no regrets. So I have to push past that fear. And sometimes I get paralyzed for a little bit. But again, the fear is different because again, before it was the fear of, am I going to spend this money on this course? Am I going to spend this money on coaching? Am I going to spend, how am I spending all this money in an investment when I don't even know what a syndication is, or I don't know enough about that. But now it's not that. Now it's the fear of not doing enough. Now it's the fear of not, investing. Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting it. Invest
Urgently.
urgently. Thank you. Invest urgently. So now that's that fear. So it's a different fear. But yeah, I try, and my husband does a good job of reminding me it's okay to feel this, but go back to remembering why you're doing it. And again, like I read my journals, and it's my heart and it's my soul that tells me, yes, this is what you're supposed to do. So I'm
So
looking
good.
forward to it. I'm looking
So
forward to
good.
seeing all
So good.
that's coming.
So let me ask you this, and we're kind of winding down a little bit.
Mhm.
Now that you've been in the money school for a little over a year now, you know all of our deep, dark secrets. And the thing is, I like to tell people the truth because what you see is what you get, right? We're on a mission here. And so I'm curious to hear what would you share with someone that's never experienced the like you a year and a half ago that's looking out from outside and wondering like what would you tell people about the money school and what your experience has been like there? I mean, we've kind of mentioned that a little bit, but
So for me, let me just tell you what comes to mind. My accountability partner. I don't know how you chose her, but it's amazing. We pushed each other, and we talk about this, how we've seen each other grow, and we've pushed back past these fears, and we've made these amazing moves where we've surprised ourselves. But then the other person will tell each other, can you believe that you've done all of these things? So my accountability partner has been amazing. I'm thankful for her. We're 1+ year out since you made us partners. Um, Again, 2 hours every week. Somehow it's a priority. Before I used to think I don't have 2 hours every week to do this. Now it's a priority in my life. It's something that is part of my schedule. Thursday afternoon, early evening, that's what I do. My family knows that, my husband knows that, and that's something that I look forward to. Three, the women in the group, oh my gosh, amazing. In the moves that they're making, you have some women who come in thinking, oh, I don't know anything. And I'll be like, I was you. And then they start making all these moves. And I'm thinking about Julie. I had to go up to Julie at our in-person event. Um, and I had to tell her, I really I wanted to meet you in person because I've been so impressed with all these moves that you made in the past couple of months. And I just wanted to let you know that you've been a role model for me. And she was shocked. So the women that you meet who are making moves, and you learn from them, and they share what they're doing, what they learned. And I love that we're each other's biggest cheerleaders. And then they'll share what they're doing and what moves they made. And then if you're interested, you can reach out to them and they help you out. So the women, the in-person event was amazing. Everybody knows it took me 40+ hours. I think like 44 or
you are
46.
amazing. Do you
So
want to tell them that story real quickly?
Yeah. I gave myself like a day and a half to get to Atlanta. I was going to enjoy before the conference started, get on a plane. We're on the runway. They're like, oh, no, sorry. Your flight in Dallas Fort Worth was canceled. There was hurricane or some big storm, right? So then spent all these hours, got back on a plane the next day, trying to figure it out. Flight was canceled, delayed. It was just crazy. It was almost 2 full days. It was 44 hours, I think, 43, 44 hours that it took me to get to Atlanta. And I made it that day with like, I think 5 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep, something like that after traveling for all this time. But when we were at breakfast and I started meeting um, all of these women, I said, it was worth it. That craziness, those delayed flights, canceled flights, hours spent in the airport, it was all worth it. The people you bring in to talk to us, and just really the community. For me, this community of women who want to make big moves, who want to learn from each other, who are supporting each other, that has been life changing for me. And again, you guys are all my friends, whether you like it or not.
We like it.
Yeah, and it's just again, it for me, it's benefit me personally, it's benefit my family, and it's benefit us in terms of finances and thinking big. I don't know that I would have ever thought this big, and making moves, such big moves without this group. So it's something that I'm very thankful for. It's something that I look forward to, and I'm glad that I'm with the group for another year, and I'm glad that I'm going to be at the conference in San Diego. So I'm looking forward to that too. So it's just for anybody who's considering it, just know that the thoughts that you're having, like all this money on myself, I had those same thoughts. The thoughts of the commitment every week, I had the same thoughts, like how am I going to get this into my schedule when I'm juggling 20 million balls in the air? But you do it. And then just the network of people that you meet, um, you know it's just amazing. The women are amazing. And again, for me, there are different groups that may offer something similar, but as a woman of color, first time physician, first in my family, daughter of immigrants, grew up rural, farm worker person myself, this is my community. This is where I belong, and this is where I feel like I've been able to grow and blossom. So if you're considering it, please, it's okay to be scared, but if you make the jump, you're not going to regret it.
I'm gonna ask you for an odd favor that I don't think I've ever asked anyone before. But you know how important and how much value I have of women being good with money and being empowered to live their own authentic life of money and freedom and being the kind of humans they want to be. And I want that for whether you're black or white or brown or Asian or like whatever you are. But because, I want people like you to get a lot of money. So if you want to just take 30 seconds, feel free to speak in Spanish and just talk to your sisters that are listening to this and let them know why not my community necessarily, but why this money stuff is so important for Latino women. And feel free to do that in Spanish. No hablo español, pero it's not for me.
Y mi español es, pero para las que están viendo este programa, escuchando este podcast, para mí fue algo importante participar en este grupo porque yo crecí con padres que no tuvieron la oportunidad de educación, no tuvieron oportunidad de tener trabajos donde les otorgaban um, um, plan de médicos o algo así. So, ellos nunca pensaron en el futuro en invertir dinero en el futuro porque no entendían eso, nunca tuvieron la oportunidad o el dinero para pensar en cómo invertir en el futuro, porque lo que ellos pensaban es en pagar todos los biles todos los días y cómo cuidar a sus hijas y sus hijos y darles educación para que ellos no tuvieran que vivir una vida que ellos estaban pasando. Querían mejor para ellos. So, para mí lo que yo quiero y la razón que estoy haciendo esto es porque yo también quiero que mis niños, mis hijos, no tengan que preocuparse en el futuro sobre cosas como dinero o inversiones. Yo quiero que ellos vayan a aprender de mí y vayan a aprender de su papá y decir, oh, yeah, sí, yo me acuerdo que mis papás compraron, tenían propiedades o invertían en real estate, passive real estate. Yo quiero que ellos entiendan eso y que no crezcan sin esa información porque al ayudarles a aprender y ver lo que estamos haciendo, ellos también van a beneficiar. Y esto es lo que le decimos que generational wealth, donde estamos usando lo que nosotros estamos aprendiendo para que beneficien las generaciones que vienen después de nosotros. So, the knowledge that we're learning is part of the generational wealth because we're teaching our children who will teach their children and so forth. So, yo me siento tan a gusto aquí con Latifa, no solo como coach, pero también como amiga. Tengo muchas de las mujeres en el grupo también que nos hemos conocido una vez en persona, pero nos vemos cada semana y yo siento una conexión diferente que we're not just Zoom friends, we are friends, somos colegas, somos mucho más que just part of the same coaching group. So I'm going back and forth. So si tienen preguntas, you can reach out to me, and I can tell you personally what I've learned. But some of the ladies in the group, like making moves, doing all these changes, just all of the ladies, pero hay otras latinas who are making moves. I'm proud. I'm proud to be a part of this group. I'm proud to learn from the other ladies, and I'm happy that I'm able to share some of that with all of you.
Thank you so much. And for you, I will say that it's been an honor, literally. It's been a privilege watching you. You're very intentional. You are very purposeful. You're like, Latifah, I don't know what I'm gonna get, but I feel like I can trust the space, and I've seen you run. I've seen you do the work. I've seen you show up, ask for help, ask for support, show up authentically, imperfectly. And, as someone that, again, is an immigrant myself, the decisions that I make actively, I think about how it's going to impact my kids. And I know that your parents were thinking about that when they decided to immigrate. And I have to say that it would be, I'm not your parent, I don't have the authority, but I can imagine them looking at you and saying, this is why we did what we did, and we would do it again in a heartbeat. So I want to say thank you for doing that, for being that, and for helping the next generation be even richer, and bringing the goodness of your culture from your parents and from what you're learning from the American culture and the you culture that you and your husband are creating. And so just thank you for that. And I want to say thank you for taking the time out to be here. If people want to find you, where can they find you? They're like, this doctor is amazing. Can I just ask her a question? Where can they find you?
So first of all, I am honestly honored that you asked me, to talk to you today. When you reached out, you've pushed me in a lot of different ways, always to benefit me. You've been seeing something in me that it's taken me a little bit more to be honest with myself and see. I appreciate that because, and I've told you a couple times where it's like, wow, this was a big honor and you pushed me, I feel like, to really be me and to open myself and to allow myself to see myself the way that others see me, that sometimes I don't. So thank you for that. And again, I'm honored to be here. I'm on Facebook. I don't have really Instagram that I do very much. I'm on Facebook. I'm Miri Samper, Sampere, on Facebook. So you can reach out to me that way. And yeah, I work in the San Joaquin Valley. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to share more of that, but I work in the San Joaquin Valley. You can reach out to me through Latifa. I don't know. I'm not going to give my personal information, but I'm willing to talk to anybody. Again, because I benefit so much from this group and this community. So reach out to me. However it is, we can connect, and I'd be happy to talk to you more about this or about anything else.
And what we'll do too is we will put two links in the show notes. One will be to, if you want to schedule a free consultation with our team to learn more about what we do. And at that point, if you definitely want to reach out to Mireya, she's offered, she'll be happy to answer questions. But we're also going to put a link to our in-person for 2025. It's going to be September 2025. We literally sold out 50% of the tickets within, like, I don't know, 2 weeks or 3 weeks after the event. It was like kind of like bizarre in a good way. So if you're like, I want to be there, don't snooze. We'll put the link there. Go buy your ticket, because we don't want this to be like an overcrowded event.
Yeah.
The, seeing each other, being able to have conversations that are meaningful or deep is important. So we will cap the number of people. So don't snooze, because this is an opportunity you don't want to miss out on. And from everybody listening, I just want to say thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. Share this with other women physicians that you think could benefit from being inspired by Mireya and learning some of her wisdom, because the things you shared today, some people are going to incorporate that and start having conversations, start dreaming bigger. And like, maybe I can also work part-time in a place that makes sense in my life. So thank you for that.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. See you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.